Welcome back to Podium Esports coverage of Porsche Club of America Sim Racing Series 5, Round 4, the halfway point of the season from Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. And we're at the halfway point of the evening. It's the Club Clash, presented by Michelin. A better way forward that gets set to take the track here in just a few moments. But before they get going, a few things to remind you about over the course of tonight's action. First and foremost is that this is a special weekend for PCA Sim Racing because PCA Sim Racing and PCA Club Racing are racing at the very same track. While we have our event tonight, PCA Club Racing is at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta for the Peach State 225 Enduro and Sprint races. All kinds of action, and it is one of the biggest events of the Peach State region year in and year out. Traditionally, a great social time with friends. Not quite the same this year, obviously, with the situation being a little bit different, but there is a new Michelin Tower, home to Peach State Central, on the premises this weekend. And there are a few races that will be paying some points. You'll earn points towards the PCA Club Sports Series presented by Pirelli, the Pirelli Triple Trofeo Championship for the GTB1 cars, the 944 Cup East Chapter Racing Series, and the PCA National Championship Point Series, all on offer, and plenty of fun to be had this weekend. So best of luck to all of you who are at Road Atlanta this weekend. We'll be competing at Road Atlanta in some form over the course of the next few days, and a lot of fun, I think, to be had on a track that is very well known to PCA Sim Racing and Club Racing alike. We'll also take a moment to remind you of some of the events coming up in the world of iRacing over the next few days. Big night on Monday night. The Monday Night Racing Championship event, the Tough Go Flooring 150 presented by Petrolhead from Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the Indy cars next Monday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the Podium Esports Twitch channel as per usual. Some of the names you might recognize: Ron Capps, former NHRA Funny Car champion, is in the race, as will be former NASCAR Winston Cup Series champion Bobby Labonte, and road racing star Max Pappas is going to try his hand on the oval in Indianapolis. And by the way, some Indianapolis 500 winner named Mario Andretti is also going to be racing on Monday night. Not a big deal at all in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. So tune in at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time next Monday to see some of the best in real-life racing try their hand at sim racing on the oval at Indianapolis in the Indy cars. That night at 9 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/podium2, the Sim 500 Trans-Service Cup Series goes racing with the Sim Racing Shirts 201 at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Some of the best drivers from the sim racing side of things in the Cup cars will go at it on Podium 2 next Monday night. Tuesday night, the conclusion of the regular season of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series as the best stock car drivers in sim racing take to Talladega Superspeedway. The biggest and baddest and fastest track of them all will be there next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on iRacing's Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube channels for the Esports Racing League. Heads to Talladega next Wednesday night at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/ERL_racing. That's Anthony Alfredo's league, the Esports Racing League, presented by SimSeats, for those who have not had the chance to tune in yet. So let's look at your upcoming calendar of events in the world of iRacing and a little bit of an update on what you can find in real life. You've seen some of the photos of the Peach State 225 from earlier today. Some of the preliminary sessions took place at Atlanta earlier this afternoon in a very rainy setup. It's been rainy across the East Coast as we work our way through some of the storms that have impacted the folks coast, and the podium send our best wishes to all of those recovering from some of the recent storms that have battered the American coast in the past few weeks. But it is now time to properly turn our attention to this club clash, where you'll have eyes on a few drivers in tonight's race. Sean Benet would be one, I think, to keep an eye on. He's going to try and back up his brother Jensen's victory in the sport class with his second victory of the season in the club class. And lots of fun, I think, to be had across the board, though. It's your points leader, Rafael Amorim, who has the fastest time in qualifying. A 1:26.308 is the time that Amorim has on the board. And also of note, Adam Golightly, who joined last week and immediately was a factor in his first race at Barber Motorsport Park a week ago. Should be a factor here at Michelin Raceway Road at Atlanta. He's currently second on the board, just ahead of Benet, who rides in third. So a new name in there to mix it up with two names that you know are going to be a factor. And I have to believe, TB, that we should be in for a good battle. And don't forget Trey Drawhorn, too, who won at Laguna Seca to start the season. He currently has the fifth spot in qualifying.
Well, currently right now, this season in the club class, we've had 3 different winners. With race number 4, could we see a possible 4th different winner? Another thing also to keep in mind is we have actually a tie for the points lead in the PCA club class between Rafael Amarin and Trey Drawhorn. So it's Georgia versus Chicago as we see these drivers do it out here at the hometown advantage for Rafael in the Peach State region. So several Peach State drivers will be in the club class race here tonight. So keep an eye and see how they will fare once we get things going.
Mike Neiden, of course, one of the members of the PCA Sim Racing Steering Committee and a Peach Stater himself, is part of tonight's race, as is Andrew Elsom, a fellow Peach Stater in tonight's race. You would imagine that Kristen Lipple, you would think, would pop in at some stage here, but just looking through the list, Rafael Amarim, your current pole sitter, is a Peach Stater. Looking to see down the list.
Only 3 Georgia drivers.
The 3, but still a good amount of drivers.
Strong 3 drivers.
And so we turn our attention to the starting grid for tonight's race, where Amarim's 126.308 will hold for the top spot on the grid ahead of Golightly, who will start from second. Third is where you'll find Sean Benet. Rodney Campbell rolls off this evening from fourth. Fifth will be the 395 of Trey Drawhorn. Klaus Nielsen begins tonight from sixth. Seventh will be Sahib Khalsa. Philippe Auberti rolls off from eighth. Ninth will be Jean-Paul Lano. And Jake Steinbrink begins this evening's race from 10th.
Starting in the 11th position will be Stephen Chen, followed by Sean Murphy in the 12th position. Jared Roadheaver will be starting from the 13th position, followed by Tanner Elbiga in 14th. Michael Patterson will be starting in 15th, followed by Kevin Douglas in 16th, with another Peach State driver, Andrew Elsom, starting 17th. Colin Thomas will be starting in the 18th position, followed by Jeff Smith in 19th. Brett Holmes rounds out your top 20.
21st is where you'll find James Sue. Michael Evans rolls off from 22nd. 23rd will be Patrick Gill, and Evan Close begins tonight from 24th. Peach Stater Mike Neiden rolls off from 25th this evening. 26th is Mario Gonzalez. John Patterson begins from 27th this evening. 28th is Robert Connell. Mark Harris is 29th. 30th, Brady McMacken, the Challenge Class champion from Series 4. And Ed Nelson begins tonight from 31st. That's a look at your grid for our third race of the evening, the PCA Club Class, presented by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward. Plenty of fun to be had here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta. We'll take a look at the track facts quickly before we go racing in Georgia. This is Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta in Brazelton, about 30 minutes northeast up Interstate 85 from Center City, Atlanta, celebrating its 50th anniversary in 2020. This facility opened in 1970. We run the full course tonight. It's a 2.54 mile, 4.088 kilometer circuit with 12 turns. We race at about 8 a.m. local time on the default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2020. We are partly cloudy, 65 degrees Fahrenheit air temp this evening in sim. The track temps are 67 degrees Fahrenheit in sim. Winds head to the northwest at 5 miles an hour and humidity of 69%, just as it's been all evening long. We race for 40 minutes tonight in our third race of the evening and should begin for a good battle at the front of this field between some very talented drivers. Before we go green flag racing, we're going to turn to the man in 12th. On the grid tonight. That's Sean Murphy out of the Palmetto region, who covers the Charleston area. And if you have ties to Charleston, Mount Pleasant, North Charleston, Sullivan's Island, Johns Island, James Island, West Ashley, any of the locales around the Charleston area, this is your driver. And Sean is originally an Irish citizen, but just this week became a citizen of the United States of America. So a big congratulations to the number 20 of Sean Murphy. You see the Irish colors on his Porsche Cayman GT4. But a big shout out to Sean Murphy on completing the road to American citizenship, and he can now call himself an American proper as well. Also of note for those who are wondering, during the intermission between races, PCA club racing may be amateur racing, but it is true wheel-to-wheel racing, and therefore is only for qualifying drivers, just like the professionals. It's distinguished from autos, cars, time trialing, and the driver's education sessions in this manner. PCA club racing is a consistent organization and operations that any racer may attend any club race know exactly what to expect. Ryan Carrigan, who is PCA Club Racing's business manager, took the photos that you've seen in between races from today's practice at Road Atlanta, the same track that we're using tonight in Sim. A lot of fun when you get to run between the same track in Sim and in real life as we are this week. We may well have a Pete Stater who is a threat for victory tonight. Rafael Amarim out of the Pete State region leads us to the green at his home track. We are underway with racing at Road Atlanta, and a big move there from Go Lightly, who immediately got the jump on Amarim and will get down to the inside and is going to potentially go to the race lead, and then gets pitched down there. So Amarim will hang on to P1, but that's not the first time tonight we've seen the drivers starting in second or third get the jump of the leaders and be alongside before they get to turn one, Taylor.
No, certainly, and that could probably not be the last time we see Go Lightly try to make a pass like that going into turn number one. So we'll have to keep an eye and see how much pressure will he put on Rafael Amarin as they come up out of turn number 5 and head down the straightaway here before they get to turn 6 and 7.
Amarim, Go Lightly, Benet, Campbell, Drawhorn, Nielsen, Oberti, Calstellano, and Steinbrink, your top 10 as they come through the back section of the course for the first time. And Go Lightly will continue to try and keep the pressure up on Amarim, but Amarim got a great run coming down the back straightaway here, and a very solid piece of work from the number 23 to start spreading out the lead and jumping away from the 487 machine. Single file pretty much all the way through this field. You have to go way back to find a good battle for position, Taylor.
Yes, you do. And so everybody now hits their way into turn number 10. It's pretty much single file. No one's taking a chance to try and go 2x2 into turn 10A, 10B. Nobody's doing that as they snake their way through up the hill underneath the Suzuki Bridge. Lap number 1 has been completed here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta.
Good work there for Amarin to jump ahead of Go Lightly and hold on to P1, but Go Lightly is not letting Amarin, well, go lightly, for lack of a better term. I'll see myself out the door on that one, but right on the rear bumper as you look and see these drivers come down the hill into the S's for the second time, but not much between the 23 and the 487 early on in this race.
No, there is not. It is going to be a tight battle between these two drivers, but don't count out Sean Benet, Trey Drawhorn, or even Rodney Campbell. We could see those 3 other drivers come into factors here for the top 5 here. So it's going to be interesting still early on. A lot can change here at this point as they go down the back straightaway. Rafael is able to pull a little bit of a gap over Adam Go Lightly.
A small gap, but not much, but everybody within maybe 6-7 tenths of a second. I think the most impressive thing within the first few laps is that these gaps have stayed consistent, but these drivers have not been able to pull away from one another by much. It is very close amongst the first 20 cars or so.
It is very close indeed. I mean, I think pretty much the entire field from the top 20 all the way to the race leader is separated by about 11 seconds. So it's quite a bit of a gap. It might seem from first to 20th, but still, it's all those smaller battles in between the race leader and to 20th. So this is going to be a very exciting race, and these are some of our higher rated drivers compared to the last 2 races that we just had previously.
We go up in rating and in skill as the night progresses. So these are the penultimate set of drivers in tonight's slate of PCA Sim Racing. The best of the best will come at the top of the next hour.
Ooh, trouble for Go. He's going to lose control of his race car through the S's and make hard contact with the barrier. So his night is going to be done after that hard contact, as Go Lightly will drop outside of the top 10 as he tries to coax his way through the grass and through one of the short side roads.
just tried to pitch it too much coming down the hill and got sideways, and all of a sudden Go Lightly goes around, spins right in front of Chambonnet, smacks the fence, and with that heavy nose damage is all the way down in 17th place. And I would imagine probably into pit road in short order will be the number 487 who falls out of second and cedes that position to the 7 machine of Sean Benet, brother of Jensen Benet, who just won the sport race that we wrapped up a few moments ago.
Chambonnet sitting second, trying to see if he can run down our race leader, Rafael Amarin, but so far it's going to be a tight battle. It's no gain or loss of time between the two drivers as they come out of the final turn, as Rodney Campbell is not too far as well behind in third position.
That incident did split that trio at the front up a bit, and now the best battle up at the top 10. Trey Drawhorn and Klaus Nielsen fighting for 4th and 5th, and Filippo Berti also in the mix 2 and 6th.
Filippo Berti is doing a great job, currently sitting in that 6th position, keeping up with Klaus Nielsen as they go down through the S's before they head up to turn number 5. And we'll see how they're able to navigate through there, both going over the clip, over there, that curb a little bit. Klaus Nielsen going up on 2 wheels briefly, but is able to gain control of his race car.
Carry on and see how these drivers work at the front. Berti now with a good run on Nielsen, who lost some ground to Drawhorn in that mix and went wide in the corner, and that might allow Berti to get a run on Nielsen coming down the straightaway. Indeed he will. The question is where he goes with it and what move he decides to pull or not pull. Nielsen will defend that inside lane at the chicanes. The question is whether or not Berti will be able to draw ahead of Nielsen before they get down there, and the answer is indeed yes. So it will be Filippo Berti up to 5th, Klaus Nielsen back to 6th. This is the season's best run for Berti up to this point, I believe, Taylor.
If I remember correct, I think this might be his first start of the season, because I don't recollect him coming into any of the other club races before here tonight. So a great start for the driver of the 83 Porsche.
It is indeed first race of the season for Berti, so it is by default his best run of the season, but still a very, very strong one, reminiscent, I think, in a lot of ways of what Go Lightly did at Barber last week, where he immediately jumped in and was a factor. Look at Berti going the 83.
He is doing a phenomenal job right now. Currently just ran a 127.53, so a little bit off pace, about a second off from Trey Drawhorn and Rodney Campbell, but still is in contention to come home with a strong top 5 finish.
And for Go Lightly and Berti and company and all these new drivers who have entered PCA Sim Racing midway through the season, next week we are on their turf and we slide from one section of tremendous PCA support throughout a region in the PCA region to 2. The Maverick and the Lone Star regions get to play host when we head to Circuit of the Americas next Friday night. So all the Texans in the field, where it seems like you could throw a dart on a wall and you probably manage to hit a Texan at some point in PCA Sim Racing. They have such a strong sway throughout all the classes. We'll see a lot of drivers try and get it done on what will be their home turf, but it's Amarim on his home turf who has stretched it out to 1.7, now 1.8 second lead over Chambonnet.
Yeah, this race right here is definitely Rafael's home track advantage for him, as he is looking forward to it to try to see if he can gain a little bit more ground on the points lead over Trey Drawhorn and try to keep a strong points lead before they head into Circuit of the Americas next week.
Carrying on is Amarim and Bidet. The race leaders, Rodney Campbell's in a world of his own, although Trey Drawhorn is there right behind him, but he's dropped 3 seconds back of Sean Bidet, so not really much to worry about for 3rd and 4th. And then Berti and Klaus Nielsen still pretty close together for 5th and 6th. You slide down the order, Jean-Paul Leno and Sahib Khalsa in a good battle, and going further back, Patrick Gill and Andrew Elson also in a good battle there too.
You also got the 982 of Jared Roadheaver and the 043 of Tamer Elbiga, who are also in a tight little battle right there for the 12th position.
Tamer Elbiga hanging around in 13th, and yes, a good trio there. With the newly minted American Sean Murphy riding in 11th out of the Palmetto region of the PCA. He leads that group. Stephen Chen just up the road from Murphy to try and chase to get a spot in the top 10. This a de facto home race for Murphy as well.
As he is climbing up the hill once again, you see Jared Rodeheaver put the pressure on the back bumper of Sean Murphy as they come out underneath the bridge, heading through the final corner of this to complete the lap as they continue on. But Murphy will hold on over Jared Rodeheaver as Rodeheaver clips the grass just a little bit coming out of the final corner. We've seen several drivers do that, some able to get away unharmed and scathe-free, but for some, we've seen some actually loop their cars around and actually make contact with other racers during tonight's races. So it's very easy to cause one mistake through that front straightaway.
Rodeheaver out of the reason toter as you look at, I believe that was Jeff Smith that we just had the opportunity to take a look at. And Jeff, member of guess what? Reason Toter region as well. So Reason Toter all over the place here at Road Atlanta at this point on the broadcast. And Jeff running in the 17th spot. He trailing Evan Close by maybe 3 or 4 tenths of a second. Close, Smith, and then Michael Evans not too far back of Jeff Smith. That trio, 16, 17, 18, good battle for position as well.
Let's take a look at that battle right there with Jeff Smith, Michael Evans, as they continue racing here at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta. They're going down the back straightaway right now, as Evan Close is still a little bit about 3 or 4 car lengths separate him and Jeff Smith as they go down the back straightaway. Let's see what Smith can do as they enter the braking zone for turn number 10. And he will try to hit the braking zone and make a nice smooth entrance in. He'll look to the inside as we see Close go way wide through the grass. Will he be able to hold on to the race car? He will, but lose position as Sean Murphy went off course.
Sean Murphy was a little bit sideways there. That's going to allow Evan Close to get the spot. It's going to allow Michael Evans to try and get the place too. So Murphy goes sideways and loses some track position as well.
So the reason of how Sean Murphy went off course is he had a little bit of help from Jared Rodeheaver. So Rodeheaver got the penalty for making incident here on the track.
So Rodeheaver gets into Murphy and immediately gets the black flag. Murphy rides in 17th, but Rodeheaver now down on pit road and in 27th.
Yeah, when drivers cause an incident, they will receive a drive-through penalty here. So that is going to be detrimental for Jared Rodeheaver for this incident, especially how early on it is. He could make a little bit of a recovery, but you got to remember, we also have to take a green flag pit stop here during this 40-minute sprint race.
They do have to take a pit stop, and we'll take a moment to remind you all that tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by Virtual Racing School. Optional setups for PCA Sim Racing Series 5 are provided by VRS, and for more information on how you can become a faster driver, you can visit them at www.virtualracingschool.com. Rafael Amarim still ahead by a second over Sean Benet. So Benet's been able to close that gap a bit, but he still is chasing the number 23 machine. And then we carry on Stephen Chen and Klaus Nielsen together. Looks like Nielsen may have had an issue, I think.
He did.
And did indeed.
Clip the grass and make hard contact with the outside barrier on the front straightaway here. Actually took the side escape road a little bit just to avoid making contact with any other drivers, but he has dropped back quite a ways.
So Nielsen slides back a bit. Remember, he was racing with Filippo Bernzi for P5, and now Bernzi is all by himself in the 5th spot. 1.2 seconds back of Rodney Campbell, who runs in 4th. So not terribly far back, right there in the mirrors. We look at Kevin Douglas, see what he does. He's got a pretty good battle with Colin Thomas going as they approach the back end of the track. And this is a very good group. Thomas, Douglas, Jeff Smith, Evan Close, Michael Evans, all within about a second of one another and in a train as they go down the backstretch.
You got to remember, last season, Colin Thomas was one of the strong contenders for his class last series. So he's going to be one to watch here as he moves on up into the club class. I think last season he was in what I believe would be one of the rookie classes, if I remember correctly there, James?
Challenge class, I believe, yes. And he had success in that class as well. Moved up to club here for this Series 5, and now is pacing this group. Thomas, Douglas, Jeff Smith, Evan Close, Michael Evans, and Sean Murphy even beginning in on the back end of this as all of these cars continue to just sort of stack up. They almost take away each other's air, each other's lanes, and then Smith and Evan Close to the inside of one another. There goes Evan Close to the inside of Jeff Smith. He'll take the spot and check up Michael Evans, who had nowhere to go. So Evans will get stuck behind Smith and lose a tenth or two.
He's going to see, but you see that Jeff Smith trying to dive it in there through turn 3, but couldn't quite make it stick. So he'll lose even more time to Evan Close, which allows Michael Evans now to gain back up to the back bumper of Jeff Smith as they go through the S's. As they reach the top of the hill to turn number 5, you see Evans look to the inside of Smith. He's got a little bit of a run. If he can make it stick, he could make the outside work as they enter turn 6.
Big swing there as Evan Close trying to look underneath Kevin Douglas, but Close out of the Potomac region, Kevin Douglas out of the Reason-Toda region, Colin Thomas out of the Allegheny region of the PCA. So Pittsburgh, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia represented. Jeff Smith also part of Reason-Toda in all this too. And Michael Evans part of the Shenandoah region, which covers the western part of Virginia. Everything from Charlottesville, home of the University of Virginia Cavaliers, that travels west and rides the Shenandoah Valley corridor and pretty much parallels Interstate 81 on your way up toward Pennsylvania. Move there though for Evan Close, the chicane, and a nice little dive to work his way around Kevin Douglas. So Evan Close now ahead of Kevin, and Evan slides to 13th. Douglas goes back to 14th. Jeff Smith trying to find his way around Douglas to try and get 14th and move the 810 back to 15th.
A lot of different numbers to try to keep track of right there for positions for those drivers as they come up through turn number 1. Once again, Evan Close has pulled away as we see Michael Evans. He's been putting that pressure to the back bumper of Jeff Smith in the 15th position as they go through turn number 3 down the S's. And I think Evans has a little bit of a faster car, but he's just so difficult to pass here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta that he is having a tough time trying to find a way to get his car around the 16 of Jeff Smith.
And all the while, Colin Thomas has escaped the front of this group. He's now out in front by almost a second over Evan Close. We'll see what kind of speed the 37 has now that he's in relatively clean air and doesn't have to deal with the same sort of traffic that the drivers behind him do. But we'll keep our eyes peeled to see what takes place with that 37 or the 810 or the 16 or the 980 or the 20, all in the mix here at Road Atlanta.
Looking back up to our race leaders right now, Sean Benet, well, he has caught back up to Rafael Amarin. About 0.3 of a second separate the two drivers right now as they enter turn number 3 before they head through the S's. Both these two drivers have been running great consistent lap times, but Sean Benet ran a 1:26.7 compared to Rafael Amarin's 1:27 flat, so about 0.3 of a second separate these two drivers as Benet gets a great run out of turn number 5 as they head down the straightaway here before they get to turn 6. But it is nose-to-tail dogfight between these two drivers.
Remember what the Benet brothers have said about one another in these broadcasts. If you think that one is fast, you should see the other race. They've said the same about both. And maybe, just maybe, we might be on track for a second night in which both Benet brothers go to victory lane. They set the record and did it first at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park a few weeks ago, and now Sean Benet has indeed reeled in Rafael Amarin for the race lead from about 1.3 seconds down. Impressive work for Benet to claw back to the 23. The question now is whether or not he can get around the 23 car.
Yeah, catching is one thing. Passing, a completely different ball game here for these drivers as they come out of the final corner down the front straightaway. They will go. Lap 12 has been completed. 22.5 minutes left to go on the clock. So anything is still possible for these two drivers as they come out of turn number 1 before they climb the hill once again and heading into the S's.
126.70 or 126.6. Amarin has responded and started to pick it up to try and keep Sean Benet at bay as Peach State versus Lincoln Trail paces this field. And for the Trey Drawhorn fans out there, I know we have a few in chat. Currently sits in 3rd. He's about 10 seconds back in this battle for the race lead. Rodney Campbell right there in his tire tracks, though.
Yeah, those two drivers have been battling it out since the drop of the green flag, but Rodney Campbell gets a good run out of turn number 5 down the straightaway here. Trey Drawhorn was trying to take his car a little bit off-roading a little bit with that Porsche, but as they head up to turn number 6, Campbell tries to close it out. Couldn't quite make it work this time as they come out of turn 7. He gets a great front off corner exit. That allows him to keep up with Trey Drawhorn now as they go down the long back straightaway here before heading into turn number 10.
Campbell trying to get the draw off of Drawhorn to maybe draw even when they get to the chicane. He'll look there, go to the outside as far as the chicane's concerned, as Drawhorn will try and stay even, and he just hangs on to that rear wheel and gets it in deep enough to maintain the spot ahead of Rodney Campbell. So Drawhorn still P3 for the moment, but it is not over yet with the 62.
It's just safe to say that Trey Drawhorn was quick on the draw when it comes to the braking zone right there to be able to hold on to that position here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
Quick on the draw. I've made some terrible ones, Bruce, so I guess I can't yell at you too much on that one, but still.
Yeah, I'll see my way out.
Yeah, fair enough. So, Joe Campbell in P3. Just looking down the board for some other good battles. We talked about Tamara Elbaga and Klaus Nielsen, and then the group from Thomas and Smith that are about to be 2 wide going into 1. Yet again, more action between that group for 13th, 14th, 15th as Evans will slide around Jeff Smith, and now we'll look to work over Colin Thomas for 13th. Meanwhile, Evan Close has spaced it out 1.5 seconds quicker than the rest of this group, so no doubt he's got plenty of speed.
He has plenty of speed indeed, pulling away from those drivers right now. 128.1 compared to Colin Thomas's 128.9. So Colin Thomas is struggling just a little bit right now as they go down this straightaway heading up into turn number 6. These 4 cars are lined up because don't forget, Kevin Douglas is right there as well. And then a little further back, you see the 111 of Patrick Gill. As you see, Michael Evans take a peek to the inside of Colin Thomas. Couldn't quite make it work this time around. He's actually curb hopping there as they come out of turn 8. Down the back straightaway they will go as Jeff Smith gets a great run off there. This could be the opportunity Smith needs to get around the 980 of Michael Evans.
And this is where it gets really interesting when you've got one driver in Colin Thomas who is suffering by tenths compared to everybody else around him. The slowest driver in that pack behind him was Jeff Smith that last lap. And Jeff Smith was still 3 tenths faster than Thomas that last time by. So everybody behind Thomas in this group clearly has the pace to get around Thomas. It's whether or not they can find the opening to make that pass happen. That's the big question, as we'll take a moment to bring you our midway race break for the Club Clash, which is brought to you by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward. As they continue to work their way around, it is Sean Benet who has gotten around Rafael Amarin for the race lead. And Benet is your leader out of the Lincoln Trail region. Remember, his brother won the race that just wrapped up, and they could go back-to-back in the second evening of the season. Rafael Amarin second out of the Peach State region, and just sort of hanging on there. Trey Drawhorn out of the Chicago region. The PCA runs in the 3rd position at this moment. The black and yellow machine just ahead of the 62 of Rodney Campbell of the Wild Rose region of the PCA, covering Calgary and Southern Alberta. Jean-Paul Leno out of the Mardi Gras region, covering New Orleans, wouldn't miss him based off the car colors. He sits in the 5th spot, and a season's best run for Sahib Khalsa out of the Golden Gate region, covering San Francisco. He rides in the 6th position. 7th belongs to the 46 of Jake Steinbrink out of the Ohio Valley region of the PCA. 8th is the number 8 of Steven Chen, the Diablo region. Fitting, he's got the flames on the car and carries himself out of the East Bay. Tamara Elbaga out of the Reason-Total region rides in the 9th spot in that number 43 machine out of the greater Philadelphia area. And Klaus Nielsen out of the Lone Star region, which covers Houston and southeastern Texas, rides in 10th.
Currently sitting in the 11th position will be Evan Close. He started in the 24th position. He's made his way up inside the top 11 right now. You go a little further back into the 12th position, you will find Michael Evans right now, currently sitting in the 12th position from the Shenandoah region, 7th in point. And then right behind him, the back driver he's been battling all night long, Jeff Smith in that number 16 Porsche. He's currently sitting in the 13th position. About a few seconds back, you'll see Kevin Douglas in the 810 car. He's currently sitting in the 14th position, having a great night so far from the Rhinton-Total region. In the 15th position, you'll find the 111 of Patrick Gill right now. He's doing a great job trying to keep up with Kevin Douglas. in the 16th position. One of the Peach State Region's drivers, Andrew Elsom, in the 718 Porsche. And then, of course, our Z1 dashboards winner, Robert Cottle. He's sitting in 17th in that number 89, as he is trying to keep up ahead of Felipe Alberti, who makes his debut start here in the PCA Sim Racing Series. And then, of course, another Peach State Region's driver sitting in 19th, the 71 of Mike Knighton. Rounding out your top 20 is the 981 of Marco Harris, who is doing a great job, currently sitting 20th.
21st is the 987 machine. That's Ed Nelson. You try and keep an eye on. Another one of the Pacific Northwest region drivers out of the greater Seattle area in Washington State. 22nd belongs to the 63. That's John Patterson out of the Florida Crown region of the PCA. And a lot of fun for the folks who live in Jacksonville and Gainesville. That's your man. Sean Murphy, the new American citizen out of the Palmetto region of the PCA, covering the Charleston metro area, rides in the 23rd position. 24th belongs to the 777 machine of Mario Gonzalez, the Hill Country region, covering the greater Austin metro area in Texas. He'll be on home turf next week as well. Colin Thomas out of the Pittsburgh area, the Allegheny region of the PCA, rides in 25th. 26th is where you'll find Brady McMacken in that brightly colored machine out of the Oregon region, which covers the greater Portland area, the PCA. 27th is James Sue, the 14 car out of the Upper Canada region, covering Toronto and Greater Ontario. 28th belongs to the 982 of Jared Roadheaver, who sits on pit road out of the Reason Total region. Adam Golightly, Michael Patterson, and Brett Holmes, 29th, 30th, and 31st, currently out of the race. And that concludes our midway race break for the club class, presented by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward. Of note, before we went to the midway race report, Rafael Amarim overshot the chicane in turn 10. That's how Sean Bonet was able to take over the race lead. And that's also why Sean Bonet now has a 4-second race lead over the 23 car, which Amarim has dug into a little bit. It was 5 seconds a few laps ago, so Amarim is absolutely trying to throw down the heaters, but Bonet in a comfortable position as it stands with about maybe 10 laps to go, and maybe a little bit more separation amongst this field too, because that battle pack with Jeff Smith and Michael Evans and company, I think, has finally split itself up a bit.
It certainly has, so it's a lot on the line for these drivers. And also, we got to see a couple of our drivers. One driver inside the top 10 earlier on has already come down pit road to complete his stop, so we will be seeing some pit road strategy here happening in the next lap or two, as Felipe Alberti was the first car to come down pit road out of the top 10. So we'll keep an eye and see who else will be the next one to blink to come down pit road to get their service required done to their cars and get back out on the racetrack to provide you more great coverage here.
Alberti decided to short pit early. He did. The question is whether or not some of the other drivers around him in the field will decide to respond. And Sahid Khalsa is the first one to make the jump out of the drivers to the top 10. He comes in for the 7th spot for his splash and go stop in this club class race.
Khalsa's coming down pit road. It's sure one of those agonizing moments, waiting to go down, get your pit box, and then finally be released. Great pit stop, enters his pit box nice and smooth, doesn't miss his entrance as he now waits to get his car serviced and gets back out on the racetrack. Right now, Felipe is still a little bit further back. He might not be able to pass Sahib Khalsa as they come out of pit road, and Felipe is just right behind him, barely. So the 55 of Khalsa is able to hold on to that position.
Good work from Khalsa, who came in 7th, comes out 15th, and we'll see what the Delta does. It's about maybe a 40-second gap that I think you give up when you come down pit road. So it's the number we'll have to keep an eye on. It would put him, as it stands, somewhere in the ballpark of about 5th or 6th. He would gain a little bit of time once everybody else comes down pit road, but that's a question we'll have to keep an eye on as these next few laps progress and the rest of the field comes down pit road.
Rafael Amarin has come down pit road as Sean Bonet decides to stay out. Trey Drawhorn, Rodney Campbell have also decided to come down pit road. So that's 3 out of our top 5. John Paul Leno was also coming down pit road as well. So everybody this time is coming down pit road all the way to Jake Steinbrink. Stephen Chen will stay out. Tamer will be staying on pit road this time as Klaus Nielsen will continue on the racetrack.
So Chen and Nielsen stay out. Everyone else around the top 5 comes in, save for your race leader, Sean Benet. So Nielsen should, in theory, be in the mix, but Amarin comes out in third. That was a good stop, 7.1 seconds. It's actually one of the fastest stops we've seen so far, outside of Trey Drawhorn's 6.6, which he uses to jump back into the fray. Did a nice job to close in, and now what this interesting mix of drivers who have stopped for fuel and drivers who still need to make the stop for fuel, and how that balances out can be a fun game in and of itself.
It certainly will be, and we'll see what will happen to our race leader, Sean Benet. Will he respond this time around to get the needed required service on his car? He's now approaching the Suzuki Bridge. Let's see what he will do. He will come down pit road. So now the question will be, can he beat out Rafael Amarin? He is also now on the back straightaway now, so he has a little bit of time to see what he can do as he has caught up to the back bumper of Stephen Chen.
So Amarin just needs to get the pass done on Chen pretty quickly. I think that's the biggest thing here, as Chen is going to come down pit road, not going to put up much of a fight. He'll go back behind Amarin in the 23. Benet in the lane, waiting to get to his box down at the very end of pit road. Amarin coming over the bridge, maybe about 3 or 4 more seconds as Chen will come down pit road for service. Benet will take off as Amarin continues to roll around the straightaway, and good work from Sean Benet, who will maintain the race lead. And as they come out, we'll take a look and see what the gap is. It was about 4 seconds coming in. It's pretty much 4 seconds coming out. It's not really much gain to loss between Benet and Amarin on their pit stops.
What a great strategic call by the 7 of Sean Benet to be able to get out in front of Rafael Amarin to take over the race lead once again after that mistake by Rafael.
Rafael did close it down in the S's, though, and as the gaps settle, it is about 3.5 seconds. So he gained a few tenths on Benet, but he needs more in these final 7 laps or so. That much, I think, is apparent, evident, obvious to everybody watching this battle at the front as you ride on board with Rodney Campbell, looking up at Jeff Smith.
Jeff Smith, another surprise. He's now inside the top 10 once again after he was battling just barely outside around the 12th to 15th position. So a great run for him, but he has yet to pit. So we'll see what happens to him once he comes down pit road along with Michael Evans, who he's been battling with all night. So Michael Evans currently running in P4 at the time. The only other driver inside the top 20 who has yet to pit, Ed Nelson in the 987.
Ed Nelson, Michael Evans, Jeff Smith. Everybody else has come down and topped off, so we should expect those 3 to come in short order. Looks like Evans thought about being the first, and keep an eye on the 980 to see whether or not he makes the move. Coming under the bridge this time by, indeed he does. He will come down, as will Jeff Smith. So there's your answer to those 2, and then it's a question of whether or not Nelson follows suit once he comes through the chicane.
He's coming into turn 10A right now and turn 10B as he climbs up the hill, heads underneath the Suzuki Bridge, and we will see if he will come down pit road. The answer will be no. He's going to stay out another lap here to try to pick up some more time over the rest of his competition.
So Ed Nelson's going to stretch this out as far as he can possibly go. I think that's the game plan for the 987 car. Everybody else has come down pit road for service. Nelson runs in 10th, by the way, for those wondering. And as we carry on through the field, only real battle in the top 10, Jean-Paul Leno and Filippo Berti, 6th and 7th. So you get the Mardi Gras region, you got the Lone Star region fighting for position again and again. Feels like we've heard that one a few times before already in this series, Taylor.
We certainly have, but as we keep an eye and see what will happen with the rest of the field as the laps continue to wind down, we are under 8 minutes to go, and I am keeping an eye on Jean-Paul Leno to see what he can do in that #1 Porsche. Of course, we brought out he is from the Mardi Gras region, as he is also one of his other Mardi Gras region's teammates from the rookie class has actually took off and won his race, Ian Simon.
One day we'll get the Simon Says reference in there, and someday it'll all work out. But as it stands, Benet opened it up on Amarin last time by the way, 27-2 to a 27-4. So Benet stealing the thunder of the home track driver and potentially making it 2 for 2 and making sure that Sean delivers on the challenge that Jensen threw down in that sport race. It could be another double Benet victory and one of the biggest storylines of Series 5 of PCA Sim Racing.
It certainly is. What we see, the 2 brothers once again go win their races in their class here tonight. And so far, as the laps continue to wind down with under 7 minutes to go, it's looking like Sean Benet could take home another victory this season.
Ed Nelson finally does come down pit road, and that means we'll turn our attention to the battle for 10th. Where Klaus Nielsen and Evan Close are in a very good battle for the final spot in the top 10.
Evan Close closing into the back bumper of Klaus Nielsen as they go down through the S's, heading up to turn number 5 now as they closing in and hitting the braking marker zone. Got to be careful as they hit towards the curbs. You'll see Klaus Nielsen go over the curbs. Evan Close just barely clip it over and continue on his way. But now we see Klaus Nielsen pulling away from Evan Close.
While we keep an eye on that battle, we'll remind you all that tonight's broadcast of PCA Sim Racing is brought to you by the Z1 Analyzer. The Z1 Analyzer application is aimed at improving the most important part of the car, the driver. The Z1 Analyzer gives you easy-to-understand explanations on where you're losing and gaining time and advice on how you can improve your driving. With its many analysis screens, including the lap overview, driving line, brake analysis, turn analysis, and track walk, you'll be able to quickly find out where you can improve and gain seconds and consistency. Included with the Z1 software, the Z1 Analyzer examines your laps and is an essential tool to becoming a faster driver, getting into the winner's circle more often. To find out more about the Z1 Analyzer and the Z1 Dashboard, please visit www.z1dashboard.com. As always, Z1 Analyzer offers a free software package to one PCA Sim Racing ED student each Friday night. And tonight's winner is Robert Cottoff from the Intermountain region in the PCA club class that you see on the screen. The PCA Sim Racing EDE program provides free entry-level and advanced sim racing coaching, anything in between they can handle. And if you sign up for the EDE program at PCASimRacing.com/EDE, you might be the next person to win the Z1 Analyzer software package. Congratulations to Robert Cottoff from the Intermountain region on being tonight's winner. It's a question that we may be saying, or a phrase that we may be saying to Sean Benet here in a little bit, as Nielsen and Close continue to have this tight battle for 10th and 11th. And now there goes Nielsen wide over in turn 6, and that opens the inside up for Evan Close to take P10 and 7 as he does with ease and a plum, and one car sideways there coming out of the group. That was Tamer Alvaga, who had a shot to get Nielsen with a good exit out of 7, but instead looks like he may be under fire by the time we get to the chicane from James Sue, the lap machine.
Here he comes, James Sue to the outside as they go down the back straightaway, heading into turn number 10 now as they enter the braking zone here. You'll see them hit the binders as they go through turns 10A. And then not far behind, we see it looks like Jeff Smith is behind James Sue, as James Sue is actually sitting 27th right now, so no issues for him. And here we see Jeff Smith, Michael Evans, they're back at it once again, nose to tail through the final corner. They will go and continue where they have left off with their battle. I kid you not, these two have not left each other since the drop of the green flag, and they'll continue to battle once the checkered flag falls here tonight at Michelin Raceway, Road Atlanta.
They really have been nose to tail for so much of this race. Jeff Smith, Michael Evans have put on a fantastic show. Sean Murphy also hanging out in 15th as well. Had that contact with Jared Rodeheaver, who has just struggled since. I think Murphy had a top 10 car, but just a little bit of contact with Rodeheaver and yatzing around, and has had to rebound ever since, but it's been a solid rebound job for the 20 machine since that incident took place. Lap 25, these drivers work of an expected 28. We'll see what Sean Benet can pull off here in the next few moments or so, but he's not terribly far away from victory for the second time this season, just like his brother. So when the Benets win, maybe they win in bunches, as I just watched Jean-Paul Leno nearly get clipped by Filippo Berti. It was very close in the chicane. Berti with the big long break to try and get him even with the one car, but he just couldn't quite get there at the end.
Couldn't quite make it work. He'll have to try again though through that section if they get back to it here right now. It is 2.5 minutes left to go, 2 laps to go here. So there's a chance for Felipe Arbete, which he is going to look to the inside as they come up to turn number 3 right now. I see a little bit of sparks coming off of Jean-Paul Leno. I don't know if that's just on my end. James, do you see that?
I don't see the sparks, but what I do see is a rear end that is very tail happy on that one machine. No doubt that Leno's trying to steer, I think, with the gas pedal more than anything else, as much as he possibly can to try and stay ahead of Roberti and maintain this 6th place run that he's got.
and doing a great job of it. He is currently inside the top 10 in points right now, John Paul. He's actually sitting in 5th position, so he's looking forward to another great points night for him to try to see if he can close in to Stephen Chen in 4th in the points.
Just looking at the group here, Trey Jawhorn still solidly in 3rd spot. Not really any competition for that place all night. So a strong podium for the number 395 out of the Chicago region of the PCA. And indeed, Mark Woodward notes that Evan Close started in way back in the field, 24th, and has come up to 10th throughout the evening. So a great try for the 37 machine, who is trying to just sort of keep Klaus Nielsen at bay now that he's got around him a few laps, and probably not enough time to go catch Stephen Chen, but certainly enough time to lock down the top 10.
He's going to try to do everything that he can to hold on to that final 10th position now, as we are now approaching 1 minute to go here at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, for Sean Binet and Rafael Amorim. Rafael has dropped it down to 2.1 seconds, so he is there to capitalize if Sean Binet makes a mistake.
Binet, I think, got some damage, to be fair, on this most recent lap. Picked up a little bit of damage, and not totally certain where it came, but maybe a little bit beforehand. But in either case, Binet, your race leader still with 30 seconds or so to be tight. I think we're going to get another lap in, but this will be the white flag that they come to. 29 seconds now on the board and counting as Binet comes up the hill, under the bridge, down the hill, across the start-finish line. White flag out for the Binet brothers to make it 2 and 2 and 2 across the board in Series 5.
Here they go down into turn 1 for the final time. Chamonix makes a nice clean entrance in there, comes up, corner exit just fine. But here comes Rafael Amorim, the hometown favorite to take home the win. He's dropped it down a couple of more tenths. 1.7 separate the two drivers.
He's got the pace at the end of all this, and he was faster by almost a full second that last time by. But it might just be a matter of too little too late unless Sean Binet slips up and makes a mistake in the final half of this lap, Taylor.
He's going to try everything as he jumps over the curb, continues to race forward now 1.3 seconds.
Continuing to close is Rafael Amorim, but it might not be enough. What does Binet do here? What does Binet do in the chicane? That's the biggest question. It was the chicane that threw off Rafael Amorim. Amorim probably would be your race winner if it weren't for his mishap in the chicane. And can Binet avoid the same problem this time around and lock down the win that Amorim couldn't?
Here they go down the back straightaway for the final time. 1.2 seconds separate the two drivers now as they go down the hill, approaching the braking zone here for turn 10. Still 1.2 seconds that they entered the braking zone. Rafael late into the zone as he tries to gain any more tenths of a second. Through the turns they will go underneath the Suzuki Bridge for the final time.
And it won't be enough for Rafael Amorim, who tries to defend home turf but cedes it to the Lincoln Trail region man, who gets another victory. And it's the Binet brothers who win back-to-back for the second time in Series 5. Sean Binet wins the Club Clash feature for PCA Sim Racing Series 5 Round 4, presented by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward, and a big step in the right direction for Sean Binet, who will equal his brother. When they win in bunches, as Binet goes to victory lane for the second time. Also in the same night that Jensen goes to victory lane for the second time as well. So neither of them end up in victory lane, or both of them end up in victory lane, as Binet is going to burn it down over by the Esha section in turn 3, have a little bit of fun on the grass, and celebrate the victory at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta.
As some of the rest of the field comes by, Evan Close will hold off Klaus Nielsen, as looks like Michael Evans didn't have enough fuel in his race car, so he will not beat Jeff Smith to the line, as Jeff Smith will come home in 13th. Sean Murphy will actually also beat Michael Evans as well to the 14th position.
There was an incident with Michael Evans on lap 27. Looks like he got into the lap car of Grady McMacken coming through turn 7 and just set it in. And yeah, a complete difference in pace there. I don't think he necessarily expected McMacken to slow, but got a incident flag at the very end, so we'll see how race control penalizes him. But in the end, Michael Evans will come home in 15th spot as these drivers continue to shuffle around the racetrack And finish off the evening as Mike Knighton has wrapped it up. And as he wraps it up, it gives us the opportunity to go through the full field rundown and tell you what your favorite driver finished. Sean Bonet, second win of the season, ahead of Rafael Amorim and Trey Drawhorn, your podium. Rodney Campbell with a strong fourth place finish, right where he started tonight. Fifth was Shahid Khalsa. Jean-Paul Leno started ninth, finished sixth. Seventh on debut to Felipe Roberti. Strong run for the 83 car. Jake Steinbring finished in the 8th position tonight. Ninth went to Stephen Chen. Last spot in the top 10 in the club class race to the 37 car of Evan Close.
Coming home in the 11th position will be Klaus Nielsen, followed by Tanner Elberger in 12th position. Jeff Smith will come home in 13th, followed by Sean Murphy in 14th. Mario Gonzalez will come home in the 15th position, followed by Kevin Douglas in 16th. 17th will be Patrick Gill, followed by the other Peach State driver of Andrew Elsom in 18th. Colin Thomas will come home in 19th, rounding out your top 20, Robert Cottle.
21st went to John Patterson. Ed Nelson was 22nd this evening. 23rd went to Mike Knighton, and Michael Evans finished 24th, last car in the lead lap after that incident with 2 to go. Mark Harris finished in 25th. 26th was Brady McMacken. James Sue was 27th, and 28th was Jared Rodeheaver. Adam Golightly had the issue early. He finishes 29th. Brett Holmes and Michael Patterson round out this 31-car field. We now turn our attention to Sean B, as he's known here, but Sean Bonet, as he's known to you all, who picks up the victory. And I think biggest question that I have in reflection on this race is the way that this place seemed to come to you. Rafael had the pace on the initial 2 or 3 laps, but it was about that 4th lap that you started to figure this place out. So riding behind him, did you learn something? Did you change something up to figure out how to get the line down here and get the speed here? Or did you just need temps to come to you, tires to come to you, and everything to warm up so you could properly make your charge?
Oh, absolutely. Rafael was a fantastic driver, and I learned a lot by following him. Thankfully for his mistake, I was able to take victory, but I think that if he had kept it on the pavement, it would have been really tough for me to get around him. What a fantastic drive.
And pressure off from you, although there was a good point in chat that, Sean, you come home with the victory tonight, but Jensen had the bigger gap. And the bigger margin of victory across the 2 races. So, what's conversation going to be at the dinner table like this week when we're comparing victories?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Jensen and I, we've always had a sibling rivalry, but I think that when it comes down to the wire, like we said before, if you think I'm fast, you got to look at my brother. And I really feel like that's true. Jensen has proved that he is a fantastic driver. And we'll just have to see how things keep going.
When do we get the mano-a-mano Benet v. Benet match? That's the bigger question I think we're all wanting to know the answer to.
I would love that. And if Porsche wants to set something up with 2 simulators, I would definitely consider that offer.
Need a Chicago Experience Center in addition to the ones in Atlanta and Los Angeles to make it easy.
Yes, sir.
Come on, NA. Do us a solid here and give us a 3rd one. I know the people would be for it, but before we get too sidetracked here, solid night for you in the points as well with the victory. And now you jump up and I believe leave here as the points leader. It'll be close. It'll definitely be close with Rafael, but in either case, really tight battle between you and Rafael and Trey, who have separated yourself as the 3 best in this series. How much are you anticipating the points fight over the final 4 races of Series 5?
Yeah, like I had said, Trey, in that last race that I had won in Canada, fantastic driver again. Rafael has proven to me time and time again, just he is going to be a tough fight. I'm really going to have to bring my A game each time. I'm really anticipating a good fight here.
And question for the Peanut Gallery. You and Jensen, is it 2 separate rigs in the house, or is there one rig that one hops out and then one hops in on?
Yep, just one. We both happen to fit in that seat.
Convenient. Same genetics make it easy to fit. Makes sense. Fair enough. So maybe there's something magical in that rig, too, that a lot of people would want to potentially get their hands on at some point. But before we get too carried away, I know plenty of people make it happen for you, Sean. So who do you need to thank for making tonight's victory possible?
Sure, I got to thank my pit crew, that Calvin Mayer Import Auto pit crew. They made it really quick and fast for me, right in, right out. I got to thank my fans. I got a good friend, Gene Pitch, watching, and he's rooting me on from Bloomington, the Lincoln Trail region as well. And then, of course, Dad. With his setup for Jensen and I think that really made the difference. And then good luck to him tomorrow. He's racing his Cayman at the Audubon Country Club in Joliet, Illinois, and he's probably going to bring home the win as well.
Busy weekend of racing in the Benet family. Fair enough. Sean, on behalf of everyone at Podium Esports and the Porsche Club of America, congratulations on your win in the club class tonight. We'll see you at Circuit of the Americas next Friday night.
Thanks, guys.
Solid work for Sean Benet, who gets the job done, comes home with the victory in the club class. It's that time one more time tonight. If you're on YouTube, slide down to the lower left, pull out a full screen, click the PCA Simulation logo, and turn over to the Pro Class video. One more race, the best of the best in PCA Sim Racing. We'll take to it in just a few moments. That concludes our coverage. The PCA Club Class presented by Michelin. Michelin, a better way forward. We'll see you in just a moment for the best of the best. The final race of the evening from Round 4, Series 5 of PCA Racing, presented by Podium Esports, coming up in just a few moments. Don't go anywhere.